Yeah, I lost the hat. This is how I look now. And I just have to accept that, I guess. So, crazy hair Pete, here we go. I know, random idea. I'm starting to get some comments on videos, and I respond as often as I can. I think I've hit everyone so far. But I was like, how about I just, talk to you all? Because some of the questions actually made me think, and I don't know if my responses were clear. So I thought, why don't I just video do them, I guess. So yeah, that's this thing. Welcome in. Thanks for checking out. If you've been commenting, I really appreciate it. A few of you are pretty consistent on commenting, including where are you, dude? But we'll get to you. He just keeps telling me to go somewhere. I want to know where he wants me to go. But yeah, let's go take a look at some comments and see if I can't respond. And if this video doesn't work, I can just delete it. I've learned that I can just delete things. Actually, it's remarkably hard to delete things when you spend a lot of time and you make one of these videos and like, damn it. Like my last one, I want to do a bus review of Chase Claypool, and I realized I've done a version of it before, so I just linked it. Screw it. But yeah, let's look at some comments. Yo, here's me in a smaller screen. Nice, right? I like it better. So Jonas S. Has been responding pretty constantly to videos. This last one actually made me think, and also told me my worst fear happened, and I wasn't exactly explaining things right. She definitely got most of it, but I don't think I did. But thank you, Peter. I have this question. So basically, 80% of any given sample is unexplainable within the context of these various fantasy football formulas. Is that right? Yes, but no. No single stat. And by stat, I mean a number that is just counted from what they did in college. Now, I include yards per team pass attempt, yards per team attempt. That's just taking their numbers and dividing it. That's not really a formula, Neither's market share. That's just a stat about what they did in college. When I hear the word formula, I think you're thinking of a model or college dominator or dominator rating, which is taking several stats and trying to make a new number out of them. But, these words are all being redefined right now by me, and every time anyone learns or explains statistics, we're always kind of redefining some of these terms. So just to be clear, that's what I'm talking about when I say stat versus formula or model, metric, whatever. So, yeah, what you've noticed here is that stats tend not to have more than a 20% correlation or R-squared score 2 points per game. And, yeah, that's largely true. I've got it sorted. Got the formula tab sorted here by highest to lowest. And I removed metrics, models, and draft capital. And so age-adjusted hit rate kind of counts as a model or a formula. But if you're, the highest one I've got is age-adjusted. Yards per team pass attempt for wide receivers, and then last year yards per team attempt that we saw in that tight end video, and you'll notice the highest score is around 21%. So for any single stat, 20% is actually a pretty good explanation of the variance. For NFL stats from college to predicting or not predicting, explaining NFL stats, 20% is about as high as it gets. We get excited for 13, 14, 15, 16%. Anywhere around there is actually a pretty good stat for this process. Now, typically, in regular statistical analysis, all of that would be trash. Basically, that's not what you want. But something that I was actually recently thinking about talking to you guys about, because I did it in my, how to do regression testing video a while back, but it's been a while. And so something else that you should start to learn about if you're interested in R-squared scores more is this p-value, which is a probability a stat has a statistical relevance. So it's not just noise and the numbers randomly connect. That's what probability value is meant to help you out with. Now, a probability value under 95%, and so you invert it essentially here. Let me skip over a little bit more. So I did the inversion over here. You do 1 minus the p-value, and you see the statistical relevance of the stat. So something I've never been called out on, but I wait, because then I know what kind of conversation I'm in. Combined stats, BMI, that's what this test is about. typically have very low R² values. So if I look up here, this is using... oh, my fat face is in the way. Oh no. Hang on a second here. There we go. So as you can see here, like combining all the combine-like stats I've got in the database, you get, barely a 6% R² value. So that's a lot less than 20%, right? That's why I normally talk about them as useless and why I like to fade them or la la la. But what you should know, and what I've yet to ever really been counted on directly, because I think it leads to a larger conversation, but no one cares, is that the probability value of combined stats actually tends to be pretty high. A lot of these statistics, when I test them in models or formulas, have low probability values, and if they're under 95% or 0.95, typical statistical analysis, from what I've learned, says you're meant to just ignore it because it doesn't have a high enough statistical relevance, so it's noise, in other words. And you'll notice a lot of these fall under statistical relevance, but you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 of these stats that actually are over statistical relevance categories. And those stats are BMI, 3-cone, shuttle cone, height-adjusted speed score, and weight-adjusted speed score. And that's not all combined stats, and this isn't the only or the perfect test you could run. So why am I telling you about that? Because, yes, no stat scores really by itself scores over 20% of explaining the variance into NFL stats, but I don't know which part of the variance it's explaining. This goes to a word called multicollinearity that I can't say, which means essentially you're double counting things, sometimes in models, and you've got to be careful to test for it, that you're not getting the same signal. And so when you use draft capital and then draft round, or draft capital and then a draft capital adjusted stat, you're essentially you're running the risk of potentially counting something twice. But sometimes we don't know what the signal is we're counting, especially with unrelated stats like yards per team attempt or market share of receiving yards. They might be counting part of the same variance, or they might be counting different parts of the variance, or that's at least the way I frame it in my mind. So you can't really say that 80% isn't being predicted, because we don't know. I don't know a way of saying which parts of the variance are really being explained. Another way of thinking of what R² does, and I said, and I'm not going to try and nerd teach you, because I'm not a real nerd. I'm not a statistician. I'm not a teacher in that area. But as I understand what R² does, essentially it's measuring, if you were to imagine like this blue dot right by any of these blue dots to the trend line, right? If you were to draw a square, or a triangle in fact, that connected one of these data points, one of these dots, to the trend line, essentially why it's called R² is it's measuring the sides. It's measuring the variance between the trend line and all these blue dots in some manner. So that's another way to think about what the R² test does. To help hopefully elucidate a little bit what R² testing is telling you. So no stat is scoring significantly above 20% by itself, in my testing at least. Other people's mileage may vary, and again, I'm not an actual statistician, which is why I throw everything up in that formula and results tab. So yeah, no single stat explains more than that variance, but I can't say that But the idea with formulas and models is that we're explaining more of it by combining them if we avoid multicollinearity, that word I can't say, and a few other statistical fallacies, to actually eke out more of the signal. So good models, or what I think are good models, or good formulas, or good statistics can get above 20%. But no single stat is actually above 20%, and that's a really good question, and really honestly tests the height of my knowledge of statistics, to be fair. At this point, you need to go listen to a real nerd, or read about it, which I have, but like I say, I'm not an actual statist. I don't want to teach you things I've learned that I don't feel confident enough to teach, if you know what I mean. And yeah, that's pretty much the height of what I can teach you about it. Niall, hey buddy, you have quickly become one of my favorite YouTubers. Aww. Your videos feel very natural. I like to think that's because I'm good, but it's actually just because they are. I turn it on like it is natural, I guess. it's raw and live, as it were. Don't worry about idiosyncratic habits, like you listed at the start of the video. I can't stop insulting myself, just in case you weren't hoping for that. No, like, I can't. It's just part of me at this point. But I really appreciate it, man. That it made my day a little brighter to read something like that. I don't know why everyone's always complaining about YouTube comments, man. You all are wonderful. Like, don't let them hate on you this much. Back at you, Alex. I made it. You sure did, buddy. Yeah, that's probably a reference I made in the video and have now forgotten. Johnny says, Javonte Williams went on campus as a freshman only, weighing like 190 pounds. In 3 years, he put on 30 pounds of weight. He now weighs 220 pounds as a potential third down back in the NFL. That's great to know, and I'm sure your numbers are right. But the way I view weight and height, like combine, I think is a standard test we can apply to the same players year over year, because it's done in the same conditions, by the same material, by the same testing, and so on and so forth. And it's not that I don't like knowing the exact numbers, but I don't want to pretend it's the same number as someone who went to the combine and got tested. So that's part of why I don't actually list it. The other part that you made me think about here, Johnny, and someone else did as well, it's my early looks when I'm just looking at production are completely lacking due diligence. The more I thought about Chase Claypool in the last video and some other stuff, I realized I learn a lot about these players as I read other people's articles, as they dig in, and also as I learn more about their past, their context of their actual production. I do like to just start with looking at the actual statistics and getting a sense of, where they fit in my tropes and my understanding of past production. But right now I'm really uneducated in these actual players, their lives, what they went through. And I kind of like it that way. I kind of like knowing their numbers and then trying to build in context, because I am very prone to many things, but also underdog stories. I freaking love them. It's why I love undrafted free agents so much. And I try to avoid like rooting for the kid that's had a harder time, not because I don't want to root for them, but because that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be better. But that's a good point about these rookie videos I'm doing lately. Like, a lot of the due diligence of understanding where their numbers came from, their actual story of the production is missing right now, because that's something I pick up as I move forward through the off season. So you made me think about that, Johnny, and I appreciate it. Connor, also I hear your music, kind of hopefully you don't get copyrighted. Yeah, I tried to mention this in the last video, like, I'm aware copyright exists, and that's about my full understanding of it, and so to try and be careful, like, I'm only playing my theme songs, they're music made by my friends, and hopefully they won't sue me, but if they do, I mean, they can take all the monies that I have, because I don't have many monies, so they can have them. Connor, I'm a big deal. I'm sure you are, Connor, but that's in quotes, so I'm assuming this is something I said or I tried to flex, and I completely agree. I can't pull that off. Swifty Plays, great video, really informative. Yeah, where's all the hateful YouTube comments? You know what I mean? I'm sure they're coming. Mike, it's pronounced Diami. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Something I've noticed about YouTube, you're all very helpful in explaining how to pronounce player names. It's happened several times. Someone's taught me how to say ETN. You just say the letters, Pete. I got it. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys letting me know, because pronunciation for some reason is not something that comes off the page to me. What do you think about Devontae Smith? I think a lot of stuff about Devontae Smith. I like him and I don't like him, and I don't know where the market is on him right now. It seems high and low at the same time. But yeah, I said in my reply to you, and it remains true, I'll push him up the list and try to... I don't have the list here. I just looked to see if I still got it up, but he's on the list now. He's another player that I figured I talked about, and I have on podcasts, but I haven't done a video on, so I should really break him down. Loving the thumbnails. I'm trying to get better, man. I'm trying to vary him up. Nick from Big Dog's Gotta Eat YouTube channel, I just panic DM'd him, like, teach me! And he was like, what do you want to know? And I was like, I don't even know what I want to know. And so he sent me a few links and talked me through a few things, and I'm trying to get better at thumbnails and stuff. Yeah, not trying too hard, don't worry, I'm still going to be flawed. But, at least not being the most terrible YouTuber would be good. Love the content. Appreciate it. Now, you see all these familiar faces just saying constantly nice things. YouTube's a wonderful place. People give you a bad rap. Josh Chase, great video. Got to play a few. Cade Johnson, yep. Unfortunately, Cade didn't play at the CFB level. I don't know what to do yet about players, because I get a sense of their production and stuff, but it can't really go into a database with players playing at the CFB level, because as I've learned for a lot of my undrafted free agent loves, those stats really aren't comparable. I learned this finally after profiling Justin Watson pretty hard last year. I still like the player, but I don't have an even way of comparing him to players that played at outside the JUCO, outside the lower than the CFB level. So I don't know what to do about Cade and others yet. Outside of my own process, I take in other people's ideas. But I guess I'll have to develop one for us eventually, at least. Normally I just rely on, if they show up in the NFL, I can profile on their NFL stats or the draft, but that's not something you can make a YouTube video about. So let me see. He's a Florida man. Yeah, I'm trying to get creative with titles, clickbaiting without clickbaiting, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to clickbait, but if it can be funny at least. Hey, join us again. Oh my god, only a minute in and he changed the format of the show. You do, you, Peter. Yeah. I know, if I have a skill, it's that I'm completely unscripted. And that's not a skill. You see what I did there? Awkward intros are funny, no pretense, self-deprecating, relatable. Honestly, I stored that one up here. Really appreciate it, JS, because as long as that's working for you all, like, I don't have to worry that every time I turn the camera on, whether it's a podcast mic or this camera, I like immediately bunny rabbit in the headlights. I have no idea. And I've watched all sorts of different YouTube videos trying to get a sense of how you do that bit, and I don't get it. I don't get how someone slips into the role of doing content so easily. It's like, I don't get it. And that's fine. If it's working for you, it's working for me. Nick, he's definitely one I've got my eye on. Who are we talking about here? Ramondre Stevenson. If he goes third, fourth round, he could still go third or fourth round. Recently, he ran a very bad equivalent of pro day time, I believe. We can talk about that more. Essentially, I think that just means if you like what you see in his production or in his tape, that's going to push him down probably unfairly, but it could also largely affect his draft capital because the NFL does care about that stuff. And so what happens in the draft is going to tell us what to do with it. I myself wouldn't fear the 40 time too much. So, keep hoping. Josh again. We're talking about Ramondre again. He played at 247. He dropped down to 228. Yeah, here's someone else with slightly different pound numbers for Ramondre Stevenson. Again, that's wonderful to know. I really appreciate some of you guys doing my due diligence for me and advancing it a little bit. But the numbers can't really enter the database just because they're not an even test. Well, at least that's the way I think of it right now. Nick, much prefer when you're doing the live sheet. Yeah, thanks, man. I've actually gotten back used to doing that. It takes a little bit more preparation, but yeah, I think it's better, because then I can look stuff up live instead of having this random video play of previous grinding. McCoy is baller. We don't talk about McCoy. Shh. But yeah, appreciate the comment very much. Thank you, man. One Thought Fantasy, this man hasn't dropped a bad video in forever. I am glad you feel that way. I feel like I only drop bad videos. Poorly Sleepers came over to YouTube from Twitter. What is this? Blackheart, thank you, Blackheart Rondell. Okay, makes me feel good about my process. Well, I'm here for you, buddy. It's nice to see a familiar face. Brother Roz, love the interactive video. Yes, grind for us. I will grind for you, my man. I will dance. I will dance like a monkey for the people. I'm a man of the people, as they say. Paulie again. About 2 weeks ago, he took an interest in my YouTube channel, left a few comments. I don't think he's been back, but I appreciate him coming over for a while, talking about Terrence Marshall. Peter, best argument against points per game I've seen, a subject you and I have discussed a ton on Twitter. Also, a great argument against Marshall. Twitter told me I am way too low on Marshall. Maybe I'm not. Maybe you're not. I don't know. Appreciate it, Paulie. Joannis S again. Get him, Peter. I've never seen the flaw in teammates' score on a per-game production until now. It's certainly something to think about. Yeah, and like everything, I'm never telling you to think like me, but I'll try and note the things that I have noticed. Nick again. See, we just got a very loyal, very friendly, very, very, very nice and friendly group here. I think we should keep it right here. I kind of like it. No need to get bigger. We have sound. Let's go. Yeah, in the last one I turned my mic off again accidentally, but I noticed while I was doing it, and so I managed to get sound again. But yeah, the videos where I'm just talking quietly into the camera will be lost to oblivion, I guess. Although I've been asked a few times to remake them. I can't remember what I said. That's part of the problem with the natural element of the way I create content, I guess. But I mean to try, put it that way. Audio, yeah, this was a fun era in the channel, right? When Pete couldn't figure out how to turn his microphone on. This was fun. We're having fun. This man, Peter Howe, really is on the grind. I am. I appreciate that. Oh, Bude, yeah. I think he's really interesting as well. Not in this class, so I'm not investigating him too much, but Felix says, I believe his last name is pronounced Bute. I believe that too, because I want to believe it's true. That's how I heard Matt Kelly say it. Matt Kelly's usually right on that kind of stuff. No Jalen Waddle, actually, he has his own video, but he's definitely not in my top of the pre-draft model video, no. Unfortunately, and I explain why in that other video I linked you. Ryan, hey, another familiar face. I'm curious whose two top dots are in the first graph. Yeah, that's actually one of the comments that actually inspired that video that had no audio. It's DJ Moore and Demarius Thomas. I can pretty much guarantee it. But the whole concept of the video is you can find answers to questions like that, which is the whole point of having a database. You have a question, you can go and find the answer. Here's, basically how you can do that. But I happen to know that the very tippy-top dots are either DJ Moore or they're Demarius Thomas almost 100% of the time. But it really depends on which dot you're looking at, which is why it also led me to, here's how you could find the list and find exactly who those dots are at any given time and even make the graph yourself. If you were interested in doing that. I think I missed one. Nope, didn't miss one. Okay. Ryan again. Yeah, he tried to look at the database, and I was like, I can show you where they are, and that's what that video with no sound was about. I don't know what's funnier, the intro or the name is spelled differently between the thumbnail and the title. Yeah, I'm trying to. My bit of being a bad typer and bad speller and just not caring works apparently on Twitter very well. Like, people have just gotten used to it, and now it's just part of the brand. I have learned very quickly it's not a good part of the brand for YouTube. People are not as accepting of misspelt content around here, so I'm not going to be doing that anymore. Outside of my just actual errors. Thanks, Peter. Great content. Appreciate it now. Can I make your thumbnails for you before I vomit? Okay, dude. Yeah, I get it. They're bad. Hopefully you've seen some improvement recently. Terrence Marshall is so productive. I love him. I find the exact opposite to be true. But One Thought Fantasy, I appreciate it, man. I do. And Joannis, and we're getting back to the very early attempt at pushing this channel this off-season at the moment. So, Akash, I understand absolutely none of this, but I still love it. Me too. That's exactly how I feel. I'm hearting that one. Damn right. Ryan, it's crazy to me that you don't watch football. It's crazy to me people would think anyone would spend this much time interested in the sport and not watch it. But I know exactly what you mean, man. Yeah, I watch, but I don't have it as part of my process. Partly because it's taken me forever to get even this marginally good at... I don't know where I'd find the extra time to get good at tape as well. And so it's just... I enjoy football through watching. I don't analyze it through watching. Some Patreon comments here. Great stuff, Peter. Do you think DJ Chark is a sell because expectations of Lawrence Chenault? No, I think DJ Chark is a sell because I think he's a one-hit wonder. This is like my Chase Claypool take, though, so, take it for what it's worth. NFL stats are worth something. Proven production is more important than most things. Points for days, thanks for this. I put headphones on to read it. Yeah, it took me forever to understand what you were saying because I'm an idiot here. But I made a post that wasn't a video finally for the first time in a while, and he's joking that he was ready to listen to the written content. Would you consider Judy a buy? Yes, I definitely would, but right now I think my value of him is the same as the markets, and so buying him is a pay up, and that's only if I really want a young wide receiver for whatever reason for that team, or someone in your league is lower than market, and then there's a potential to buy. And buys and sells to me, usually I use the term when the market or what the value that the person in your league has as a player should, according to consensus ADP, be lower than where I think that it should be. But that's kind of a guess at what people in your league think, because your mileage is always going to vary. But that's why how I try to highlight buys. Like, it's pretty easy to highlight Juju Smith-Schuster because he's outside the top 12 at wide receivers, and I think of him as the top 12. So I can guess that pretty much in every league, there's a decent chance that the person who has Juju Smith-Schuster values him enough lower than me that I can send a trade offer that I think is of value, but so do they, and so we both win, kind of a thing. So that's what buys and sells mean to me. So Judy doesn't meet that list, but if you're asking me, would I trade for Judy? Yes, I think he had a real good rookie year. I think he's got a good college profile. I don't know what to make of that dumpster fire of Denver team, but I care less about that. I don't think I can read the situation at all very well. We need people like Evan Silva for that. Anyway, so this is about a 26-minute video, and I'm nearly late for work, so I guess that's the end of that. I hope that was in some way valuable. I just keep seeing these comments, and a lot of them make me think. I really appreciated all of them, so I wanted to do some sort of shout out, but I suck. I don't do well at shout-outs or mentioning content or telling you to hit subscribe and like, and so I thought maybe if I just talk to you as if we were talking in these comments, maybe that would work? I don't know. Let me know, and I can try and do this regularly as the comments mount up to a decent size, or let me know to stop it. That was terrible. Don't ever do it again, because that's fine too. But yeah, I appreciate you all. I really do. It's been a lot of fun, and yeah, honestly, some of these questions have helped me get better, I think, at YouTube, and made me think about my process too. So keep them coming. I really appreciate it, and yeah, I'll see you next time.